How do we deal with rejection? How do we deal with failure in life? How do we deal with life setbacks? It's perhaps one of the great questions that we all struggle with and we have to face up to sooner or later. And I think the answer comes from this week's Torah portion. We learn about Abraham, who entrusts his loyal servant Eliezer to go on a mission to find a suitable wife from Abraham's family who will be able to be the future matriarch of the Jewish people. And before he sets out on this mission, Eliezer has a telling conversation with Abraham. And Abraham impresses the importance of the mission, and Eliezer intimates and suggests that perhaps as he has a daughter, and he's been living in the house of Abraham, that his daughter could marry Isaac, Abraham's son. And Abraham, in one moment, makes it quite clear that this is not a possibility, that Isaac comes from a blessed people, whereas being Canaanite, Eliezer is considered, his people are considered cursed, and therefore it's not a shidduch, it's not an appropriate match. Can we imagine for one moment Eliezer had grown up in this house and now was being asked to go on a mission after facing such rejection, after feeling such a setback? What would be our response? Eliezer's response was remarkable. He was able to tap into his faith, to recognize this is part of a bigger picture. It may have been his will, but it wasn't a higher will. And he set it to one side, dusted himself off, picked himself up, and went on his mission, full of alacrity, eagerness, and enthusiasm to fulfill the wishes of Abraham. Such a challenge, and yet by overcoming it, we're told by our sages that later on in life, Eliezer transformed himself to become somebody who was considered blessed, because he had discovered that great secret of faith and recognizing a higher being who calls the shots. Ariel Berkowitz was a young man who had a great future ahead of him. Yet in his 9th grade, he got into the wrong crowd and started drinking, started doing marijuana. And one night after a party in Austin, Texas, he was rather lost, and he found himself walking next to the light railway. And he tripped, falling onto the railway. He hit a piece of concrete, fell unconscious. And before he knew it, a train was hurtling towards him. It was too late, and he was crushed by that train. He was considered dead. There was no heartbeat, there was no breathing, there was no brain activity. Yet miraculously, he somehow survived. He woke up weeks later and was informed by his family that his legs had been crushed in the accident, and both his legs had been amputated. He had every reason to feel sorry for himself, to be depressed, dejected, and to give up any hope, any future of life. And yet that wasn't his reaction. He grabbed the second lease of life with both hands. He decided to discover more about life and about living a life of faith. And he decided to start keeping aspects of being Jewish. Fast forward, and he was able to rebuild his life and to start anew. And when he was asked later on in an interview whether he regretted what had happened and whether if he could redo it, he would, he said absolutely not. He would rather be a person without legs, but with meaning and purpose in life, which is what he had, rather than being a person with legs, but without any sense of purpose. How often in life do we find that we have a curveball, a spanner's thrown in the works? We don't know what we're meant to be doing. We find we're rejected. We find that we have setbacks. And that is the moment like Ariel Berkowitz, and like Eliezer, where we have to tap in to that faith and to recognize that there is a bigger plan. It may not be the way we intended, but if we are able to do so, then we will be able, like Eliezer, like Ariel, to be considered blessed and to feel that blessing in our lives.